Hi friends, how are we today? How is everybody? I am really struggling with my camera setup today. I don't know what happened. This is like my third or fourth time setting it up like this because I can't set up the microphone in the window because of like the gap between the window and my bed. So I have to turn it here, and today I was just struggling. So I'm like looking at myself in the camera and I feel like it's not quite right. But we're just gonna have to deal with it, okay? We're just gonna have to deal with it. So I have officially finished recording the Harry Potter videos, or the Prisoner of Azkaban videos. I have not finished uploading them, but it's okay. You'll get them soon enough. And like I was saying in some of my previous videos and in some of the videos yet to be uploaded, I don't really know where to go from here. I am just really not sure if I should keep doing Harry Potter books, and if so, should I go back one and do the second, which is shorter, but, and, you know, it's good, but I really don't like Dobby in that book. I like him in the 7th book, I like him in the 4th book. I don't like him in the 2nd book. I think he's really annoying. So I am hesitant to read that one only because of Dobby. And I'm thinking about doing the 4th book, but that is much longer. It's very long. And it feels like a big commitment. So I'm really trying to decide, and I'm not sure if I should even stick with reading Harry Potter in the first place. Like I've said over and over again, I really don't want to align myself with Rowling or any of her defenders. I just really don't agree with her. I'm wearing my Protected Trans Kids shirt today, because I think now, even more than ever, trans kids and trans people are in need of protecting, and with a lot of these new orders and just scary stuff rolling out, I'm not sure if I want to be, supporting stuff made by someone who holds a lot of vitriolic hatred towards trans people. So I'm just trying to decide. I think because my videos don't support her directly, and because I haven't given that woman money in ages, like it might be fine, but I'm also just not quite sure morally. I'm thinking about maybe reading some classics. I also live near a used bookstore with a very large kind of cheesy sci-fi section. So part of me is really tempted to do some reading of just some super cheesy, kind of crappy old sci-fi books, because they're very short and I'm sure just chock full of the wildest stuff. and I feel like that could be fun. I have a couple from the 80s that I could start reading. So I'm just still trying to decide where to go from here. So today I decided to break out. I have this, hold on, I'm trying to do this quietly. I have this massive file folder, and it's from my senior year of college. It says 2022 to 2023 academic year worthy readings. So I printed out most of my readings in college, especially the ones that I cared about, because it was just easier to have in class as like a printed out version, and I kept a lot of them. So my senior year I took a poetry class. I'm not a huge poetry person. I am way more of a prose novel person. No hate poetry. My brain just doesn't always work that way. So I took this class to kind of step outside my comfort zone, and I knew the professor from a previous class I'd taken with him. He was super cool. And we just read a lot of Renaissance poetry, and I really liked the way that he taught John Donne. So this is a packet of John Donne poems, and I thought I'd read a couple. So the first one is The Funeral by John Donne. Whoever comes to shout me, do not harm, nor question much that subtle wreath of hair which crowns my arm. The mystery sign you must not touch, for 'tis my outward soul, viceroy to that, which then to heaven being gone, will leave this to control, and these limbs her provinces from dissolution. For if the sinewy thread my brain lets fall through every part, can tie those parts and make me one of all, those hairs which upward grew in strength and art have from a better brain can better do it, except she meant that I by this should know my pain, as prisoners then are manacled when they are condemned to die. Whatever she meant by it, bury it with me, for since I am love's martyr, it might breed idolatry, if into other hands these relics came, and 'twas humility to afford to it all that a soul can do. So 'tis some bravery, that since he would have none of me, I bury some of you. So, it's kind of a short poem. Oh my god, hold on. Sorry about that. I get these like waves of dizziness sometimes. I don't know. My mom gets them. It must just be genetic. And it just hit me really hard. Anyway, the way my professor taught John Donne was that a lot of his, this isn't the whole way he taught it, just like a little part, is that a lot of his poems have a lot to do with dying and decaying and just sort of becoming something outside your physical body, or more specifically, not quite outside your physical body, but your physical body becoming something other than the like living vessel that you were existing in. So this one's really fun because he's got a hair bracelet. It starts off, whoever comes to shroud me, do not harm nor question much that subtle wreath of hair which crowns my arm. And it ends with that since you would have none of me, I bury some of you. So that sort of suggests that that's the owner of the hair. Yeah. My professor also did a lot of trans readings on John Donne, sort of saying that he's so much better at this than me, and I haven't been in his class in like 2 years, but to sort of bury yourself and let yourself decay and become unrecognizable except for this bracelet of women's hair that circles your arm. He definitely had some thoughts on that. So, we're gonna go on to our next poem, which is similarly about being buried. He just really likes that, he loves some decomposition. I definitely pair up the funeral and the relic in as sort of poems that sort of go together. So this one is The Relic by John Donne. When my grave is broke up again, some second guest to entertain, for graves have learned that woman... Sorry. Let's try that again. I'm really not the best at reading poetry. When my grave is broke up again, for some second guest to entertain, for graves have learned that woman had to be to more than one a bed. And he that digs it spies a bracelet of bright hair about the bone. Will he not let us alone, and think that there a loving couple lies, who thought that this device might be some way to make their souls at the last busy day meet at this grave and make a little stay? If this fall in a time or land where misdevotion doth command, then he that digs us up will bring us to the bishop and to the king, to make us relics. Then thou shalt be a Mary Magdalene, and I a something else thereby. All women shall adore us, and some men, and since at such a time miracles are sought, I would have at that age by this paper taught what miracles we harmless lovers wrought. First we loved well and faithfully, yet knew not what we loved nor why. Difference of sex no more we knew than our guardian angels do. Coming and going we perchance might kiss, but not between those meals. Our hands ne'er touched the seals which nature, injured by late law, set free. These miracles we did, but now, alas, all measures and all language I should pass, should I tell what a miracle she was. So I will say I think this one is my favorite. I think it is a bit more, I don't know, to me personally, as someone who struggles with poetry, it feels a bit more accessible than some of his other poems. I just really like this one. It's very romantic in sort of a disgusting death way. Basically, he's imagining that in the future, him and the lover's bodies are going to be dug up and sort of perceived as this single being. taken to the king, they're made a relic, their, bodies, their bones. And I think it's just very interesting and romantic to be sort of attached to someone to an extent that you're like, let's decompose together. It's very hosier. If you want to make a modern comparison, I feel like I recently listened to the song In a Week by Hosier, and it definitely, you could draw a lot of parallels between him and sort of this poem, and just being like, we are so in love, we are so attached to each other, let's decompose together. I definitely think you can tie gender into this one very easily. I mean, there's literally the line, difference of sex no more we knew than our guardian angels do. Which, the way I interpret that, the way I was taught that, is, angels are sort of genderless, and we have decomposed so much, we have lost our gendered physical bodies so much that we are just sort of these genderless beings, and it doesn't matter because we're attached, we're together, we're in love, and people sort of admire us. I don't know. I am really not the best at talking about this. Sometimes I just wish I could go back and sit in on one of that professor's classes, because he taught it with such enthusiasm. It was so fun. I also like the line, thou shalt be a Mary Magdalene and I a something else thereby, because it's like, is he saying he's Jesus? Is he saying he's not Jesus? I feel like you could interpret that as him being like, yeah, and I'm something else. The counterpart to Mary Magdalene. Or you could be like, him being like, you are this, powerful woman, and I'm just like, whatever. So, I'm very entertained by that. Is he comparing himself to Jesus? Is he saying he's not Jesus? I don't know. Let me see. What other poems do we want to do? I am tempted to do Sappho to Philaeus, but it's very long. So I'm thinking maybe not. I'm thinking maybe avoid the longer ones, because there's also the Ecstasy, which is quite long. Maybe I'll just do the Dissolution, and then we can be on our merry way. Okay, so this one is another short one. It's called The Dissolution. Hold on. Sorry, I'm still a little dizzy. She is dead, and all which die to their first elements resolve, and we were mutual elements to us, and made of one another. My body then doth hers involve, and those things whereof I consist hereby, in me abundant grow, and burdenless, and nourish not but smother my fire of passion, sighs of air, water of tears, and earthly sad despair, which my materials be, but ne'er worn out by love's security. She to my loss doth by her death repate, and I might live long, wretched so, but that my fire doth with my fuel grow, and as those active kings, who foray in conquest treasure brings, receive more, and spend more, and soonest break, this, which I am amazed that I can speak, this death hath with my store my use increased, and so my soul, more earnestly released, will outstrip hers, as bullets flown before, a latter bullet may o'ertake the powder being more. So that is the dissolution. Everyone should know when I'm filming so that they don't honk their horns. So, again, this is a poem that's very much talking about dying and sort of, this one's more dissolving, but decomposing. I mean, it starts off with she is dead and all which die to their first element resolve. So it's just saying, when we die, we become these simple elements. He mentions elements later: passion, air, tears, despair. Or I suppose that's not quite elements, but it gives that vibe, And I don't know, it's just very interesting. She dissolves into her first elements, and he loves her so much that, he's grieving, he's desperate. My fire of passion, sighs of air, water of tears, and earthly sad despair. He's still on earth, he's still alive, and it's so painful to not be with her, to not be reverted to sort of base elements. He even says, my body then doth hers involve, which, can be interpreted as him taking in her body after death, sort of taking in her elements, sort of combining, becoming her. I just really like the way that Dawn approaches the body. I think it's very, very interesting and sort of both I feel like he interprets the body to be both a earthly trap and also what words do I use for this? Sort of something that can show show the connection between people. I mean, the first two poems that I read involve a corpse with a bracelet of hair, which is sort of, just very simple combination of beings. When you die, you can involve, another being into your corpse, into your being. I mean, that's basically what the relic is about. The fact that it's called the relic and not the relics. They become one and are seen as one. And in this one, the combination is a bit more, I guess, intangible. She's reverting to her base elements. He's sort of taking that in. I just think it's very, very interesting, and I definitely enjoy his poems. Even if I definitely struggle with poetry in the first place. So this was kind of a different video than usual, a bit more, I guess you could say, political. I don't think people living their lives trying to be happy should be political. Never really understood the vitriolic hatred towards people who are just living their lives a little bit differently. And, you know, obviously you can tell, I guess, by looking at me, I, you know, am aligned with the queer community. I am friends with a lot of trans people who I love very, very dearly. And with what's happening in America right now, I'm very worried about both their future and my own. So I have already, with just less than 200 followers, lost followers and made people angry with my very open dislike toward J.K. Rowling while reading her books. And I'm sure that being very open about my own beliefs and about my you know, I'm so sorry about my own beliefs and talking about trans rights and various other topics, I'm sure will perhaps turn some people against me, but if that's the case, I encourage you to think deeply as to why, and think deeply as to what is so threatening about someone just living their truth and living their lives. It's not affecting you. Why are you so angry? Why do they scare you so much? If anyone feels like having a conversation respectfully, I am willing to do that, but I will not tolerate any disrespect towards any minority groups, or really anyone. Well, there's some people that I don't respect, but you know what I mean. I don't tolerate disrespect or hate in my comment section. But if you have genuine questions, if you have thoughts you need to work through, well, depends on how kindly you want to work through those thoughts, but I'm just saying, I'm open to having people discuss with me, not necessarily. Don't go attacking people in my comment section. But yeah, let me know if you liked this poetry stuff. I have a couple other John Donne poems and some other Renaissance poems that I could read. I also have some short stories from a sci-fi class that I took, and I could probably read those too. I know this video was a bit different than usual, a lot more rambling, a lot less reading, and a bit more politics, but it just felt necessary. And I hope you have a great afternoon, evening, morning, whatever, and I will see you next time.